Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Tuesday, April 14th, 2026 meeting of the Milton Select Board. Please rise if you are able and join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next up on our agenda is public comment. By rule, the Select Board allows 21 minutes for public comment, limiting each speaker to 3 minutes. I will give a signal when you hit the 2:30 mark, if you get that far. Do we have anyone signed in? Mr. Fundling. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Jay Fundling. I live at 39 Size Lane, and I'm the chair of the Warrant Committee. And I'm here tonight on behalf of myself and on behalf of the Warrant Committee to thank Ben Zoll and Richard Wells for your services to this town and to this committee. I've known Ben since we had 2 children in kindergarten together, and those 2 children are now 12th graders. So we've been through a lot. I'm impressed by what you two have contributed, and I think of the spread of public service that I'm looking at here. We've got a multi-decade, multi-generational public servant to the town of Milton, and we've got a person who moved here from Ohio. That, I think that represents the town. We've got people in this town who've been here for generations and people who are new, and we all come together and work together, and I've watched both of you in your public service and what you've done for the community, and been very impressed and thankful for both of you. So I wish you both the best.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fundling. It's greatly appreciated.
A lot of time to go there.
You can we've got another 2 minutes.
You keep saying nice things about you?
Yeah. It's all right. No, it's all right.
Anyone else in for public comment? Just check online. I don't see any hands. Okay. Next up on our agenda is our departmental report with Michael White, Building Commissioner.
How you doing?
Good evening.
Thanks for having me in.
Absolutely. So the way that the select board's been doing this, we've been asking different departmental heads to come in, talk about their work a little bit, what's going well, what might need improvement, give us kind of an overview, and have a little question and answer at the end. So I'll turn the floor over to you, sir.
All right, I kind of broke this down into a few different sections, more for you guys and the residents of the community that may not have a good handle on exactly what we do in the department. So basically an overview, the Inspectional Services Department, which we call ISD for short, helps keep Milton safe and well-maintained community. The department works to ensure that homes, businesses, and properties meet state safety codes and local zoning requirements, so that buildings are safe for use and neighborhoods remain healthy and attractive. ISD issues permits, conducts inspections, and responds to questions or concerns related to building construction, renovations, electrical, plumbing, gas work, and property conditions. The department also oversees the Weights and Measures program to ensure fairness and accuracy in the sale of goods. Staff works closely with residents, contractors, and business owners to explain the requirements and guide them through the permitting process and help resolve issues in a fair and professional manner. The organizational and structure and staffing, the department's led by myself as the building commissioner and the zoning enforcement officer. Barry Ringler is our one full-time local inspector. Jay Bullio and Walter White are our 2 part-time 16-hour-a-week local inspectors. And Walter just recently retired a few weeks ago, so we don't have him anymore. Dominic Francelli is our part-time 25-hour-a-week electrical inspector. Mark Kelly is one of 2 part-time plumbing and gas inspectors. Mark works 25 hours a week. Eric Pillsmaker is the second part-time plumbing and gas inspector, and he works 10 hours a week. Both Mark and Eric share the sealer of weights and measures duties. Our Killian Berdufi is our code enforcement and complaint officer. Katina Goodridge is our senior administrative clerk. Bill Donnelly is our administrative clerk. Given the highly regulated nature of the work, staff are required to maintain extensive certifications, continuing education, and licensure under Massachusetts law. Our core responsibilities first would be permit management. We review and issue permits for residential and commercial projects involving structural work, electrical systems, plumbing, gas, mechanical, fire alarm, and sprinkler systems. Plan review. We evaluate the architectural and site plans before construction begins to ensure they meet the technical standards of structural integrity, fire protection, energy efficiency, and accessibility under the handicap accessibility codes. On-site inspections, we conduct field inspection at critical stages of construction, such as foundation, framing, insulation, and final completion, to verify that the work matches the approved plans and adheres to the safety codes and the town zoning. Code and zoning enforcement. Interpreting and enforcing the town of Milton zoning bylaws. Examples, building heights, the property setbacks, and the use regulations that are allowed by our zoning. Citing violations or issuing stop work orders when construction is non-compliant. Some of these violations can consume not hours, days, or weeks, but months of our time, which we've got a couple that are going on, unfortunately, that are chewing up some serious time. Issuing certificates of occupancy. So at the end of a project, we perform a final inspection and issue the official document that certifies that a building is safe to be legally inhabited. This typically entails for a residential home checking all the egresses, the smokes and COs, heat detectors, make sure all the stairways meet the code and have the proper guards and handrails, and final energy compliance and zoning compliance for setbacks. Public education and records, we provide technical guidance to homeowners, contractors, and architects regarding code requirements and zoning requirements. We also maintain a public record of the permits and inspections. Some specialized functions we perform, annual safety inspection, so that's a periodic safety check. Usually we try to do like the schools a month or so before the schools open, so if there's any deficiencies, they have time to correct it before school opens. But we do the periodic safety checks on existing public buildings, schools, hospitals, places of assembly, like churches, theaters, and restaurants. These inspections involve checking egresses, fire alarm systems, sprinkler system, kitchen hoods, fire extinguishers, exit sign, emergency lighting, and non-permitted flammable materials that may be there. I take my position in the permit review and this inspection process very seriously. Early in my career, the Rhode Island Station nightclub fire happened, and that drove home how serious this job was. That fire killed 100 people and severely injured 300 more. And in the end, I believe it boiled down to a failed inspection by the building official and fire official on one of these periodic inspections. So every permit I review, I just think of that and make sure I don't make a mistake, and I think about, if I screw this up, what is the end result? What could happen to somebody? And I just hope that I never make that same mistake. Emergency response, so we respond to fires or buildings into structures or natural disasters to assess the structural damage to buildings. Weights and measures, as I said earlier, both of our plumbing and gas inspectors share the weights and measures duties. They inspected commercial scale scanners, gas pumps, and various other measuring devices to ensure market equity for consumers. So that actually goes into a lot of things that you may not realize, scales like propane tank weigh-in at your local pharmacy if they're weighing pills or medication, or any measurement of liquid, solids, mulch at your local landscaping yard to, if someone doesn't think they got a cubic yard, they would go investigate it and measure the yard. Operational highlights. The department processes a steady volume of permit applications and inspections annually, reflecting the ongoing residential reinvestment and commercial activity throughout Milton. This fiscal year, we've been inundated with projects. I was just going to give a quick summary of what's going on. So some of the larger projects: 4 Franklin Street, the 40B, 92 units of apartments; 440 Granite Ave, another 40B, consisting of 4,000 square feet of commercial space on the first floor and 24 units on the upper levels. 40 Access Road is another 40B project with 40 apartments. 600 Canton Ave, Winter Valley's constructing 36 apartments. 582 Blue Hill Ave's another 40B with 84 units divided amongst 2 buildings. 936 Brush Hill Road, 40B, another 20 units. 701/703 Randolph Ave, formerly 711 Randolph Ave, is 90 units, split between two buildings. 107 to 111 Highland Street, memory care, they're getting ready to file those permits for that project pretty soon. 432 Adams Street, which I think we gotta change the address on that. The new East Milton Fire Station 2. 675 Blue Hill Ave is a 2-story daycare center going up. Milton Hospital just had extensive modular units added on to create a expanded emergency room wing, and they're doing multi-phased renovations inside the hospital. That's all ongoing at the same time. Some of the smaller things that are going on: we currently have 21 new single-family homes under construction at various phases. 120 additions that also have substantial interior renovation to the existing structure happening. Then there are 48 projects that are just strictly additions with no renovation to the interior. Currently in queue, 22 ADU units, and we probably had about another 22 inquiries today. We've had a lot of ramped up interest in that, with a lot of people coming in trying to find out what the requirements are and what they have to do or can do. Annually, around 80 certificates of inspection. So those would be the periodic inspections when the schools, the restaurants, places and daycares, churches, places of assembly. Then all the other smaller building permits, electrical, plumbing, gas, and mechanical combined, is about 2,310. Those are all the other smaller projects. Other area of our operational highlights: we have strong coordination with the fire department, which I'd like to say, since my arrival in Milton, the relationship between fire department and inspectional services, it's been better than I hoped for. And Chief Madden, Deputy Chief Steve King, and Fire Prevention Officer Steve Mataliano have been fantastic to work with. We also work very closely with the Planning Department, DPW, Engineering, Board of Health, Conservation, and Police Department on complex or multidisciplinary matters. The department has continued to provide consistent enforcement while accommodating evolving state codes and zoning regulations and emergency directives when applicable. I'd like to say the team at KP Law has been an invaluable support to myself and my staff, especially on the more serious enforcement issues that require legal intervention. They have been also fantastic to work with. Some of the challenges and constraints, we face some ongoing challenges. I think the biggest one is increased regulatory complexity, the frequent updates to the state building code, not just the state building code, plumbing, gas, mechanical, the fire code, the energy code, and our own zoning bylaws. We've had a lot of recent new additions to it that we have to work through, and the ADU's actually been one of the more difficult. A lot of times the state will just, hey, this is the idea, give you the game, but not the rules. And then we have to figure it out. So we've been working a lot with KP Law and the legal end on some of the different crazier scenarios, I'll call it non-conforming issues and just other issues that aren't common. And the codes, everybody's is changing on a different cycle. So just when you fully understand it, they change it again. And now we have to educate ourselves, educate the contractors, the homeowners, everybody. And it just keeps going round and round, so it's difficult. It would be nice if the code, maybe we change, and most of them change every 3 years. So like the day my new code issue, they started working on the next one to get it released. The current zoning bylaws, I think we could use some work updating them. There's some areas that there's some conflict and maybe out of date or irrelevant sections. And I thought it would be great to try to introduce some use tables and maybe land space and density tables that could make it, someone could look at it and within 5 seconds know if the use have all the allowed uses in all the zoning districts and see if it's allowed, not allowed, allowed by special permit through the zoning board, special permit by the planning board. Right now, we gotta walk through page and section after section looking, but that would be something that would make things a lot easier for everyone to be able to, within seconds, know what you can and can't do. Staffing and workload pressures, the inspectional service and staffing levels. We have to balance the permit volume, inspection turnaround times, and enforcement obligations within an available budget resource. And since I've been here, we've been struggling. I don't know what happened in the past, and I don't know the workload. I can obviously see there's more than a plate full of 40Bs that's enough to forget everything else, that's overwhelming standing alone. Where was I? So it's struggling to keep up with that. And we're struggling prior to Walter White's retirement, so his departures increased the struggles. And then we're also temporarily covering the duties of our full-time code enforcement officer, so we kind of got a guy and a half trying to make up another guy and a half workload. Customer expectations, the residents and contractors are increasingly expecting faster processing times, while code review requirements continue to expand. So that's problematic, like the new energy requirements and the specialized energy code, just all that stuff adds extra layers. Most of it, unfortunately, is on their time if they apply and don't realize they need a HERS rate or the specialized energy code, and then that can take a lot of time for the energy consultant to model usually it's a new home or a substantial renovation to figure out how to get the project to comply. The other things, the aging housing stock, older buildings present unique safety, accessibility, and code compliance challenges requiring experienced inspection oversight. So those become more difficult to process. And through the zoning, we have a lot of legal non-conforming properties that end up having to go to the zoning board for relief for their non-conformity. So that really throws a wrench into the process when that happens, but there's no way around that. Some of the goals and strategic priorities, looking ahead, the Inspectional Services Department will focus on the following priorities: continued improvement of our customer service and permit transparency. We've been working on making a lot of changes to the online permitting system for the applicant and for us in-house. So almost daily, either our department or another department will, like, let's just say recently, the ADUs, the first step in the process is it needs to have a new house number created. So Alan Bishop in engineering's in charge of setting that number. So he's like, well, how are you gonna communicate to me that we need the number? We're not gonna be emailing back and forth. I'm like, I think what I'm gonna do is have Permitize create a button, and it isn't just for ADUs, any new home or new commercial building that doesn't have a street address, it'll just be a new street address request button. I'll hit that and it'll send it to the town engineer and you, and now you'll know that there's a request to come look at that permit and take action, figure out what you have to do, and then they'll kick back the number. Ongoing staff training and certification to stay current with the state and national code changes. As the local building commissioner and the local inspectors, as well as the plumbing, gas, and electrical, we all have to maintain a certain amount of hours per year. And if we don't maintain that, our certifications are taken away. And then actually you just get a letter from the state saying Michael's credits aren't good. You gotta relieve him of his duties. I can't stand this in the position without those continuing education credits. I'd also want to work on something I think that would be beneficial is to get the two administrative clerks trained as what's called a permit technician, which is a certification through the International Code Council, who basically writes and publishes all the codes. But that would hone in their skills to not become a local inspector, but to get close on certified on understanding the zoning more and exactly what paperwork and documentation we would need. Right now, they just answer what they know, but they would know as much as we know on what's required for documentation and the whole process if they have to go somewhere. And I think that would really be helpful. So I'm looking into that. I've already reached out to the ICC regional coordinator, and I want to see if he'll either over Zoom or come in person, talk to us. And Bill and Katina, they've already said that they'd love to try to do it. I'd like to continue strengthening our collaboration with other key departments and boards to ensure all team members are aware of what's going on before, during, and after any given project. We have a lot of new faces in town, including myself, and it takes a lot of time for everyone to get on the same page and figure out the processes between the departments. And we have and continue to gain ground. I actually think we're doing really well considering how many new faces in the various positions that some haven't been here that long, but we're really trying to operate as a team and just get the operate as efficiently as possible so the applicant has a smooth riding trip through the permitting process. Proactive enforcement to address safety concerns before they become emergencies. So we actually recently, I think it's one of the Baker Chocolate buildings, former, somebody called with concern. So one of the two connecting buildings has a deck over the river, and the deck boards were rotted. I think part of the land might be in Dorchester. So the Dorchester side made them put up big iron gates so no one could access the decks. Ours was wide open to the residents, and anyone walking off the street could fall into a 2-foot hole. And like, if they ever felt the velocity of that water, they'd be in wherever that river's headed in 10 minutes. So we immediately, I'm like, found out who's in charge. We need barricades immediately, and like within hours, that was resolved. But if that, especially with the good weather, kids or someone could have went out there and just fell through the rotted huge holes. And we just took care of that. So things like that, trying to jump on something that's serious immediately before it becomes an emergency. Some recent successes, I think, right when I started, I wasn't sure, me being in other communities, every community operates different, so I wasn't sure what, if liability and workman's comp through Maya, what we had, so I found out we had both and applied for one of their grants. They annually have one that you can get up to $10,000. And me not knowing if any other departments applied, I said, I'm not gonna go for the whole 10 grand and upset some other department that had planned on utilizing it. So I went for 2,400 and got awarded that. And I used it to buy state-of-the-art hard hats with eye protection and hearing protection for all the staff that go out on inspections out on site. So that was a good thing. We had some, they're usually, I think OSHA only recognizes them for like 5 years, then they call them, no matter if you wore it once or a million times, they just UV light and whatnot, they consider them. So if we were out there with those and a workman's comp claim happened, something may happen because that hard hat was technically out of service. So now we got state of the art, which I didn't know till I looked into it, that they actually, the hard hats now, they look at all the various sports and hockey, football, and these things got built in to protect your brain from getting dislodged. In the old days, it was just if the bricks fell, it kept you from getting hurt, but they got all this high-tech technology built into them. More recently, I applied for the Massachusetts Community IT Grant and I put in for the full 200,000 and they awarded me 130,000. So what I want to do with that is digitize. We still have a bunch of file cabinets. Some are in the office, some are down in the basement off the break room that there's been some water issues. That's actually what started it. The week I started, something happened with one of the heating units that leaked over the files and ruined some stuff. And that second, I said, we gotta get this stuff digitized, and that got the wheels in motion. So I think we're going to do the building department, all of the zoning board of appeals, all the conservation, some of the board of health. Who else was on there? Planning board. And I put in the grant because this will be the third time I've gone through this process. I did it in 2 other communities. It's very hard to the scanning company to know exactly how much it's gonna be. So we'll scan either to the 130, which I don't think it's gonna be, but I put in the grant, we'll scan what we can. If there's not enough money, we'll deal with the rest later. If we can scan everything and there's enough funds left over, conservation has been looking for funds to get the permitized conservation module. So I put that in the grant. If the funds are available at the end, we're gonna pursue purchasing that system for them. And then, I already touched on this, but probably multiple times a week, we're always tweaking the building permit system and just trying to make it easier. In conclusion, the Inspectional Service Department remains a cornerstone of public safety and regulatory enforcement in the town of Milton. Through professional staff, consistent application of codes, and cooperative engagement with the public and other town entities, the department supports safe development and protects community well-being. The department appreciates the continued support of the Select Board, Town Administrator Nick Milano, all of the town departments, boards, and committees that we interact with on a daily basis. We remain committed to high-quality service, accountability, and responsiveness to the needs of the town. That's it.
Thank you very much. Comments or questions from the members? Mr. Stahl.
Mr. White, I'm glad you had the time to come here. It sounds like you don't even have time to do this. Plus, you brought news that we got a lot of new people moving into this.
Yeah.
So this gentleman back there, the fire department, police, we're gonna have a busy time. Don't you usually have the same builders come in?
There are some that are regular customers, but we have a lot that aren't.
No, I know, but when I did my house over 22 years ago, I used a local guy.
Yeah.
Everything went so smooth. You know, he went up, gave him got the permit, and the building inspector said, go ahead, start it. If I have issues, I'll come up and see you.
Yeah.
It just went great, you know what I mean? Because they knew the contractor. You must still have some good contractors that
Yeah.
make your life easier.
They're very few and rare, and in our system, we can chat and they get the email. I actually commend them and say, thank you for being one of the very few people that gave me everything I need to review this permit, send it to payment and issue it. That doesn't happen. It's weekly. I probably review 300 of just my pending permits and then jump into the unassigned. So it's frustrating, and that's something else. It's just a catch-22. I don't have the time. I think the chief, you mentioned it, that we internally know, but it's not on paper. I need to do the same every permit. This is the minimum requirement as the homeowner, and add this if you're the contractor for every permit. And then have that, when they apply for the permit, that pops up. Maybe 50% will read it and the other 50 don't, but that's 50 that maybe will get ahead.
But I commend you and your group. I don't know how you do it, but Braintree, I read like a month and a half ago, the Armstrong Development, they have a company gonna come in and do all the inspections for this town. Kinda wish we did that with all these big projects, have the
Yeah.
projects paid for this inspectional service
Yeah.
to make your life easy. I just don't know why we didn't do that.
It's a good idea.
Huh?
So they
Armstrong, that they're gonna do
negotiated it,
780 units.
Yeah.
And they had to hire a professional.
the developer
Inspection,
hired
yeah.
a professional.
To
Yes.
do what we're supposed to do in the request, we would literally have to have a site trailer there and just never leave the site. We could literally do that.
Would you have like an over-the-shoulder look for what the
Yeah,
outsourced
so,
inspector would be doing?
They're all construction control, but I never hang my hat on that. Some things are small and repetitive. I'm like, we don't need to go look at this detail 92 more times. We're gonna spot check it every 2 or 3 weeks, the more serious things we're gonna look. But I've seen in the short time I've been here, some projects, one of them in East Milton Square is the best managed project I've ever seen in my life. Then there's other ones that, when I started, I didn't exactly know what projects were going on, and Jay took me around town, and we went to one of them, and I was scared to death that this was under construction control, and the issues we picked up just going to, for me to see what the project was all about.
We talked about that one. We talked about that one.
But I commend you, you do a lot of work. I didn't realize that. 21 new
Yeah.
homes being built. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Doing all the ADUs, all these big 40Bs.
And the questions, so the other problem, I usually, like, I barely leave the office, there's so many permits. I try to, we're mandated on time, 30 days to review them and issue them once we get everything we need. So that I'm mandated, I'm not gonna get fired or in trouble. I might with you guys if I don't return a phone call or an email, but I concentrate and try to get every single permit that's under my purview. I start at the bottom. If they gave me what I needed, I can move it to payment and okay it to issue. Or some of them, they don't respond. Can I get an update? Every one, I send them a message, ready for payment. We're still missing this. You haven't responded. So some of them, I think in 8 or 9 months, there's probably been 15 that never responded. So I have 30 days. When it gets around 60 days, I issue, we're gonna consider this permit abandoned. You're not producing what we need to review it. We can't review it. And then the next week, if they didn't respond or give it to me, I put it into the cancel, denied. And then I'm legally covering myself and I'm giving them double the legal time, but I can't keep reviewing 50 permits that they're never gonna, and keep wasting time looking and chatting and nothing's happening.
Your group's self-supporting, right? More than self-supporting.
Yeah, and then,
You know what? More than it costs us to support your staff. right?
oh, yeah. So that's another thing that I'm hoping maybe next year. This year, everything was short track for me because I came in late and all of a sudden, everything's new. I didn't know your budget process. So that everywhere I've been has been an issue, so we can never predict. They may say the economy's tanking and then all of a sudden, all right, we got 10 more 100-unit 40Bs coming in and it's July 2nd, budgets just got issued. So now we're trapped. We don't have the funds to react.
So what is, something I was just wondering when I was listening, to your presentation, is there like a industry standard for like a ratio of like workload to FTE?
No.
In like I don't know if
I
there's like
actually,
a municipal building inspection
I worked
industry
in
standard.
Bridgewater, and that was maddening me that I could not, I went all the way up the chain to the state, to the ICC,
Yeah,
and no one had like a minimum staff, and I said, there's gotta be some kind
Yeah.
of broad matrix to govern this, and
Yeah.
there isn't. So I think the International Code Council, the Northeast representative, said the only way you can do it, I don't know, what you guys, is it ISO certified? There's a certification that police, fire, and building can get it, so they said that was the only path. They would come in, you gotta pay them, I think back then, 20 years ago, it was 10 grand. They shadow every employee in the department for like a month, figure out your deficiencies, give you a report, so that would identify
10 grand.
you're in trouble, you got way too many permits versus
Yeah.
people reviewing it. Then when you thought, which this could take money, that you resolve the issues, they would come back, shadow everyone again,
Yeah,
and then certify that you're providing the best public service for the building department. So I wanted to do it because at the time, no Massachusetts building department had that certification.
Yeah.
But like Vegas, other department, Vegas runs 24/7, their building department, it never shuts down.
So I have another industry question. These types of processes fascinate me, and I'll try not to keep us here all night. Richard's like dying right now, but like I'm like just getting going. So is
Motion to adjourn.
and I don't wanna get us on a crazy path here, but just what I'm listening to, and I work in transportation, we do a lot of permitting, we do a
No
lot
way.
of reviews. So do you have any thoughts, or does anybody talk about AI in this space? Like developing like simple chatbots to like load the zoning code into to like help support the review work, like helping the staff get through things more quickly? And I
Actually,
don't know if we have an AI policy, like I'm looking at Nick and at Darren.
I'm leery of it now. I think it
Your
needs
agenda
to
items.
evolve more. We've actually had residents coming in saying, this is legal, here it is. And I'm like, did you read? It didn't say
Yeah.
anything until the last page, Milton, New Hampshire, that's their regulations.
Yeah. So I really think it's great how you're investing in the staff, like you're looking to get their
Yeah.
permits, you know, better safety equipment. I think all that stuff is really important when you kind of have a small staff, a big workload in terms of keeping them motivated. But it might be something to think about. How can AI be a tool? Do you guys have Copilot, right? Is it turned on?
On all the
Okay.
machines.
You might be able to do something small and like
Actually,
play
our
with it.
zoning code's digital and searchable, so I
Yeah.
actually use that a lot. That'll get me, if I'm not exactly sure what section something's in, I can just hit a keyword.
Yeah.
It'll bring everything up. But one other thing I'd like to, Nick and I think actually I forget his question when he interviewed me. And I said the only solution that I can think for that, and this is going back to the budgetary constraints. So in Bridgewater, we had massive, it just out of nowhere, huge 1,000-unit 40Bs coming in, multiples. And we didn't have the staff to keep up with it, and all the contractors were getting upset, which it's kind of a delicate balance, and I think we're a unique department because the people they're paying us for a service, and then when you can't provide it, so pretend you're going down to Sullivan Tire to buy 4 new tires, you pay for 4 tires, and they only give you 3. How are you gonna feel? So in Bridgewater, it came to that, and we just weren't getting any ground. Like I said, it could happen July 2nd, budget's done. Now we gotta wait for another budget cycle and pray that we can pitch what we need. Maybe we do, then a year later, we get the money. Then we gotta interview, hope to hire. It could be a couple years, 3 years, before you actually got that person that you needed. So in Bridgewater, the town manager agreed. I actually showed him, that's in layman's term, one of my administrative budget books that I was certified on to be the commissioner. And he read it and he's like, this makes sense. So he created a revolving account. By mass state law. We can't be an enterprise account. That's truly how we should be operating it. We just totally run off the permit fees. I think Hopkinton is the only community that I know that was doing it. But Bridgewater, the manager said, we'll start with 25% skimmed off, and he let me get the staff I needed, which I didn't want to. Hey, we got $1,000, work however many hours, and the money's gone. I waited for each position till the whole year's salary was built up, then said, go, and the fund would continue to grow. So I didn't have to lay people off if things slowed down or whatever. And that was working, and he was gonna go to 50%, if that worked, go to 75, but that took care of, we would be able to react instantly if things were going bad and we needed the help, instead of trying to hire outside people and just or whatever, if it could be outside people, but have the funds to be able to react and deal with the situation.
Mr. Wells?
So, kind of follow up on this, because a lot of people will come here and they'll say, we don't have enough, we're not doing anything, and I've been following these projects. Tonight's the final night of 9 years here. It's like, we've done so many projects in the past 9 years, like, you summarized on so many of them. And first one that I did was North Woods, and then Common Fathers, and then the ice, and 131 Elliott, which was a huge, it was a multi-year. People don't even realize how many projects, but my point is there because I know Walter leaving is a big void for you. Is there like a company you could go to if you can't find someone to hire, that you could bring someone in, like one of these companies that subs out, you can just get like a person to fill hours for you, just to help keep you from sinking in the workload.
Yeah. And we do have Walter's position, actually, it's posted internally, and we'll see what comes in. For that, we may be able to find like another inspector that may have
Somewhere else.
retired and wants to just work a few days a week, which would be good because they'd be trained and seasoned,
Yeah,
not a rookie off the streets is gonna create even more work for us. There's so many facets to this job to train someone on all avenues of, it's gonna take years.
you're not in the breakdown lane here. You're running on the
No.
high-speed lane every day, and there's no time to like put the training wheels on a bike and say, okay, here's
Yeah.
how we're gonna go. So that's why I'm just thinking how you could get someone, I mean, Walter has many years in this
Yeah.
field, and
Actually,
he's gonna fill that void.
fortunate that everyone in the department is certified as commissioners, so that's even bigger, and they've all had commissioner experience, because there's a major leap from the local to the commissioner. And for them they were able to help you guys when the previous commissioner left, they got to interim take over the helm.
We know. Mr. Chair, thank you very much, Mike. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from members? Mr. Daly?
Thank you, not only for coming for the work you've been doing, with all the growth we've had. I think the building department can get lost in that, and you guys have to execute on a lot of these new developments. What I'm kind of picking up a theme in what you're saying is help in the workload and the efficiencies. And so to Member Wells' point, how can we help you while you are doing all this every day? But also thinking ahead, how do we make this more efficient? You talked about the tables, also training up your staff. Perhaps there are some technological tools that we can use, or perhaps products that have been created.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not an answer for this meeting, but that's what I would like us to think about, is where can we help you to make things a little bit more efficient and lessen that workload while you're doing this at the same time.
I think working on a tune-up on the zoning would be huge, because there's contradictions. There's, like, just say for a shed, one page says it's 20 feet, go to the next page, it's 21 feet, and we don't even know which one's right. Or you'll read literally 15 pages of a use and go to page 16. Oh, if it's in this district, forget everything you just read. But a lot of this, a quirky, I don't know how it was put together, if there was an original base code and then his new bylaws got passed, like I know we passed probably 10 or so, or close to 10 recently, or gonna be passed.
Just add
If
them
they
without
just
updating.
tagged them on and like didn't see if they jived with the existing sections, and then created some conflicts within.
I think we've talked about investing in updating those codes.
Yeah, I think, and Carolyn from KP can speak to that as well, but we did, the budget 27 does include money to work with KP to tackle some of those issues, and I know that work's already started between Mike and Liz Manning, the planning director. And we did put $50,000 in the building department budget for the next year's budget cycle to enable adding of hours, kind of where Mike sees is necessary. So they're small things, but they're tweaks that we can continue to make in future years. And then as we get through this wave of projects, evaluate what the proper staffing needs to look like permanently.
Waves plural.
Hopefully wave singular, but we'll see.
Well, Mr. Webb, we've taken up a lot of your time, which is, as we know, very, very precious.
Yep, same here. I think I was supposed to be 10 minutes. I may have went
Well,
over.
this is,
He'll be calling you at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning.
this is really important work, and we're glad that you shared everything here. I know that, there's definitely, I think, a few conversations that'll come out from this, so.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank
again
you.
for your time.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of the
Have a good
night.
Yeah, you too.
And next on our agenda is a report from the Office of Town Council. We've got Attorney Darren Klein and Attorney Carolyn Murray from JP Law.
I thought coming into tonight I was very busy, but after hearing Michael's report, I think I might need a.
You're a slacker.
Yeah, exactly.
You here to try and up the hourly rate?
Well, thank you very much for having us. It's a pleasure to be before you tonight, so we appreciate the opportunity. For those of you who haven't met Carolyn
I have
Murray,
not.
Carolyn is doing a lot of the land use and zoning issues for the town and has met with the planning board on several occasions.
Several occasions, yes.
Yes.
Yep. And
So-
Michael as well.
Yes, absolutely. It's been a really good smooth transition for us, even smoother than we expected. And, we've obviously come into cities and towns before and gotten to know, the unique attributes of what makes Milton, Milton. So, we're used to that, but it's really gone very well. And I think Nick and a lot of the department heads for really making that transition easier. I think right from the get-go, Nick did a great job of sort of catching us up on the pending issues and the issues coming up, so we were able to hit the ground running. So that was really helpful, and I think very early on, I met with almost all the department heads, so it was helpful too, to start to put the names with the faces and everything. So that was a real assistance. I think, one of the first issues we faced pretty early on when we took over was we had fall town meeting coming up, so I think we hopped right into sort of finalizing the warrant and the motions, and there were bylaws to be reviewed. And I think the approach you had in place was really helpful. We had pretty, I want to say early on meetings, but certainly meetings enough advance of town meeting, with members of the warrant committee, with members of the select board, with Nick, with several of the, involved department heads, and then we were really able to sort of go through the warrant and identify a lot of the issues, and then I think separate meetings between Nick, myself, and the town moderator. You never know exactly what's going to come up at town meeting, but you try to give yourself the best odds possible, and I think we were able to identify and anticipate some issues that were going to come up, and we were able to really kind of put a little bit of a strategy or an outline in place in identifying the issues, quickly at the beginning of the town meeting. So town meeting would have a pretty good understanding, and I think that helped things go pretty smoothly. And obviously now we're getting ready for the annual town meeting, and I know Nick has pretty much the same process in place. I think Nick, myself, and the moderator are meeting on Friday. So, and we've obviously reviewed the warrant and the motions. So everything is really going well from our perspective. I think that, our goal right from the start has really tried to be very responsive and to help you and provide the legal services in the way that you want and that helps the town. It's, we are not the policymakers. We don't make any decisions. We advise all of you on how you can accomplish what your mission is for the town. I think Nick and I have had really good communication, so make sure that any of the questions are responded to in an effective and efficient manner. As far as the majority of some of the town council work beyond town meetings and the everyday general issues, I think looking at the bills. A lot of your issues have been, as Mike just went through some of them, enforcement matters. We do have some active litigation with enforcement, but there's been Board of Health enforcement, zoning, building. We've definitely had some work with general contract review, procurement, especially early on. There were some major real estate and trust issues we were reviewing. As with any town, open meeting law, public records, conflict of interest. Issues have come up, community preservation and municipal finance issues. And of course, and I'll let Carolyn speak to that, you know, zoning and land use has been pretty big, especially with some pretty, you know, big potential zoning bylaw changes have been a significant amount of work. But I'm happy to answer questions after Carolyn gives us a small summary of the zoning and land use. But I really thank everyone, and congratulations to our two outgoing board members. I'm glad we got to overlap, even if it was only for a short period of time. But thank you for, you know, allowing us to make such a smooth transition into Milton.
So, Carolyn Murray, and I'm very happy to meet all of you. I haven't had the pleasure to meet any of you before. I've spent a lot of time with your planning board and with your building commissioner over the last several months. I'll apologize, I'm still getting over a cold, so I'm still dealing with a cough. But I do think Michael gave a great presentation in the sense that he covered all of the things that I was going to cover in terms of things that we've been working on. I mean, we can't say enough. ADUs, ADUs, ADUs. I think every community in the Commonwealth, when they got their letters back from the Attorney General's office, approving or partially approving their ADU bylaws, they were all at least 10 pages long, if not longer. And they felt the need to reiterate all of the goals and purposes of the law and remind everybody and counsel them that how they have to interpret things a certain way. And sometimes I think I long for the days of, you know, not that long ago, where you used to get like a one-line letter from the AG's office saying, you know, Article 13 has been approved. It just made things simpler because now you get a lot of questions. And I've spent a fair amount of time working with both Michael and your planning director, Liz Manning, as they try to work through some of that or some of the nuances of, well, when the AG said this, what did they really mean and what does that mean to us? And of course, I think they've, if you've got 21 new ADUs coming in, I guess the AG would call that a successful ADU program, since that was part of what it was designed to do. So one of the other things that you approved at your last town meeting was some changes to your site plan approval bylaw as well. So I think one of the first projects I worked on with your planning director was updating the site plan approval regulations so that everything was consistent and that procedurally it flowed and complied with state law. And so I happened to be at the planning board meeting to discuss ADUs and discuss site plan review. And the chair of the planning board, and I have to say, I think you've got a fabulous planning board. They are very engaged. Chair of the planning board said as I was getting ready to leave, oh, and we have this other little thing we want you to work on, our sign bylaw. And I'll apologize in advance for the length that it takes up in your warrant. And I'm sure the questions it has generated throughout the process. But the good news is that I think it was originally 27 pages, and we've cut it down by about 10 pages. So we consider that progress in some ways. But it did also open up, as the building commissioner was mentioning, things that, and this is not unique to Milton in any way, things that are just sort of missing or unsaid in the bylaw. Because as we were working through the sign bylaw, I think right now your current bylaw might have a whole 3 pages dedicated to signs. Doesn't say a whole lot. And you've got your sign review committee, and what does the building commissioner do versus the sign review committee versus the role of the zoning board of appeals. And it was a little bit of an eye-opening experience working with with Michael and Liz, who are also relatively new, and everyone's trying to find their way and figure out the process. And it's somewhat humorous to realize, well, the practicality of how this works isn't written down anywhere or isn't reflected in your bylaws. So I did have a conversation a couple weeks ago, I think it was, with the planning director. Yes, you folks are looking to do a rewrite of your zoning bylaw, and I will get something to you next week, I promise. Because I do a lot of work with other communities who sometimes want to just take the whole thing and throw it out the window, but that's not terribly practical either. We've got to kind of figure out how do we break this down into what are the most pressing things and how much of an appetite does town meeting have? I've been to some town meetings where a planning board can present, 135-page repeal and replace of a zoning bylaw, and it gets passed without a question. And then there's other town meetings where someone will slam the warrant down on the podium like it's the old phone book, saying, you read this? It's 135 pages long. Do you understand what's in there? I don't understand it. If I don't understand it, you can't understand it. Vote it down. And you think, there goes 6 months worth of hard work that's just been, flushed down the toilet. So we're going to work really hard to try to identify what is that sweet spot from a town meeting perspective to slowly make these changes, but do them in maybe, say, 2 or 3 phases so that you don't get all upset at the advertising and the cost of printing in the warrant, and yet you have a good, much more user-friendly document in the end. So
Insert no more political signs.
definitely more political signs, sure.
Sneak that in.
Yes, we will sneak that in.
Save us all a lot of money.
Too many.
I know. It's amazing, when you think of other types of developments and then say, why does a sign bylaw have to be 17 pages long? Well, there are a lot of issues to be considered. Like I said, not unique, but I do have to say, it was a very thoughtful process with the planning board, considering you don't want to hurt existing properties. You want to be a little more business-friendly, but you don't want to be too business-friendly. There was some good debates at those meetings.
Thank you. So I think we're phasing into the Q&A portion of the presentation. Any members?
I'm good, thank you.
We only have like 28 issues on the agenda.
I appreciate you saying how good the planning board is to work with.
They're fabulous.
Thank you.
I will just add as chair that Darren, we worked together at the last town meeting, and I found you to be excellent on the spot. I've heard nothing but positive comments from across the town about our transition to KP. So I think that's something that this board did that we can feel very good about, and I'm really excited to have you guys as our partners.
But it's a joint effort, and I think we've received a lot of cooperation from obviously the town administrator's office and all the department heads and the other boards too. So it's been, as well as obviously your board. So it all works together. So thank you.
If I could add, Mr. Chair, just that, obviously, any kind of transition is tricky, but they've made it easy. And I think as Mike can attest, it's a new experience for us to have many points of contact within a firm, but it's due to the different expectations and experiences and knowledge bases that folks in the firm have. So our contact for code enforcement, I mean, he turns around letters within
Hours, literally.
same day return on a letter that's ready to go, been reviewed, good to go out the door. Contracts, same thing. I think that was a place where MHL excelled, and we've seen no drop off at all in the transition to KP. So having those in-house experts that now we can turn to, it's a little bit of a different system for us, but it's working really well. Department heads, I think, are when they need access. I mean, Sue Galvin, whenever she has an elections issue, Lauren Goldberg responds very quickly and with a very detailed and informative response. So I think that just goes to show that the firm has been an asset for us, and it's been working really well. So just wanted to make sure the board was aware of that from a kind of day-to-day level.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Mr. Wells.
Just one comment that you made me think of when you talked about Attorney Goldberg. So as you know, this was a big change
Yes.
in my professional 44 decades. There'd only been one change, and that was 37 years ago. There was a lot of the letter that was written by Attorney Goldberg to members of the board at that time that I thought was very, very impressive and very much supported the reputation that I knew she had. And that very much helped you, at least I think it helped me, I think it helped some of the other members of this board make the decision we made. So if you, I've never seen her since, if you could convey that to her for me, I would appreciate it.
I definitely will. And I know it was a little bit of a unique interview process,
was.
but
It was.
I appreciate the board, all the select board members keeping an open mind, and I'm glad the way it worked out.
So are we.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Great evening.
Have a good rest of the
Congratulations
meeting.
again.
And just enjoy the next chapters.
Yes, thank you for your service to the town.
I think I saw Chief King outside.
Okay.
He's out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it's like radar ears. So our next item, 7 is item number 6 is the dispatch grant application. And I believe that we have Chief King and Chief Madden.
Yes, Chief, if you could join me, please. Yes,
Please.
so
Mr. Milano.
thank you, Mr. Chair. So as the board's aware, we have been working with our police and fire partners in Quincy regarding an analysis of regional dispatch. So just at a kind of high level, I'll do a couple of kind of overview points and turn it over to the chiefs if anything to add, and then obviously questions from the members. But this work's been going on for several months, originally with a feasibility study through the Collins Center, as the state is encouraging communities to analyze regional dispatch and is putting grant money behind an initial feasibility study, as well as development grants and operational grants. With Quincy's new public safety building, they have the space to transition to a regional dispatch center, so they were looking as well for a potential partner. So the process would take advantage of grant money to support system replacements and improvements, infrastructure replacement improvements, as well as grant money to get the dispatch center off the ground, and continuing grant money to support the regional dispatch center financially. So the grant application that we're preparing is about $11 million in equipment, infrastructure, software, upgrades, replacements throughout both Milton and Quincy, and then money for salary. So it's about a $12.5 million total grant. We do also have a draft intermunicipal agreement between Quincy and Milton that we are seeking to have included with the grant application, which would be seeking approval for tonight. So I think, the other thing is this is still a work in progress. If the grant is unsuccessful, we will obviously not move forward. If the grant doesn't fund everything that we've applied for, there's going to be a conversation there as to, is this still the right time to move forward or not? And homework for us in terms of the transition of Milton dispatchers into the regional center, understanding exactly what gets funded and fully understanding the long-term grant funding that's available for this for the dispatch center. So with that kind of high-level overview, I'll turn it over to Chief Madden, Chief King for any color commentary or additional information you'd want to share.
I think this is a tremendous opportunity. I was skeptical joining with Quincy, where it's a bigger department, but meeting with the Quincy leadership, meeting with the Quincy Fire Chief and their support, and the Quincy Police Chief, we've been given an equal seat at the table and to discuss everything. So, obviously Milton Fire is the smallest department of the four, I should say. And we're given an equal seat at the table to discuss what our needs are. So it's been a tremendous experience so far for me. And I just think that this is an opportunity, it's a great opportunity to really see where we are. And we've had the opportunity to look at our dispatching, the weaknesses that we have, and, what can be corrected and where we can move forward in the future. So I think it's a great opportunity.
Based on what's already been said, I don't want to get too bogged down the weeds, only because I feel like this is really a step one. A lot of time, a lot of months, Chief Madden, his staff, my staff, a lot of research, a lot of planning, but at the end of the day, it's only step one. We're just applying for the grant. I don't want to make it a bigger deal than it is. I think, question one is, how much of a grant do you get, if any? And then only after that would we maybe have, certainly have lengthier conversations and delve into, like, should we do this and how do we do that? I wouldn't go there yet, because I just think it's meaningless unless you get the grant. It's significant money, but there's a ton of pros, Chris pointed out. Next time out, I think it's in the materials, there's some concerns you gotta address, and I think planning can address any concern always. So I just think we should move forward. It's an opportunity. It's not a done deal, so to speak.
Questions or comments from the members?
So my big question was, what the chief just mentioned, how does Milton sort of, how were Milton's interests protected in like a situation, in a context where we might be sort of the smaller guy? But also too, I can see from like a resource perspective where, like, if we've got these grant funds and these additional resources, we could stand to really benefit from that. And I guess, can you provide like a specific example of like, just like a specific example of a situation where we might reap greater value from being in this type of a situation versus on our own?
I, right off the bat, I was just checking emails, and the Motorola grant is for $2.9 million, and that will upgrade the infrastructure, the radio communication infrastructure for both departments. Without this grant, we have to pay for that ourselves.
Okay.
I mean, that right off the bat is just, I hope that is basic, you know what I mean, without
Yeah.
really getting into the weeds, just looking at that.
I mean, I'll give you an operational one.
Yeah.
We run like usually, depending on the shifts, but on an overnight, we run one shift. So if you're on the phone because your baby's choking,
Yeah.
there's no one else in that room.
Right.
So one of the two things happen. That person either gets put on hold so they can answer another 911 call.
Yeah.
Or if that other 911 call keeps ringing, it rings 5 times, it already kicks to Quincy.
Yeah.
They are our backup, we are their backup.
Okay.
That's the way it's done. So it's kind of a natural partnership. People might not know it, we are already doing this.
Yeah.
Like with Quincy, they're considered, when they close their communications for renovations, we dispatch it out of our building for Quincy Police and vice versa. So this is just making it more of a routine,
Okay.
regular, everyday thing.
And do
But-
we get like more dispatchers as a result?
Yeah, so what would happen now,
Okay.
let's say that scenario, this happens, you can have, when you have a car accident on Randolph Ave, you don't get one call. You get about 30 calls because everybody driving by, oh, there's people trapped in the
Yeah.
car, this. So that dispatcher, you might have 2, but it's overnight, you have 1. They have to field all those calls because they don't know it's the same call, an unrelated call. At the same time, they're trying to dispatch the radio. At the same time, they're calling over to the fire department on the phone. It's just, there's delays in response times. They get abbreviated information because they don't have time to get all the information because they're rushing to the next call. So it's great in the quiet time when one phone call comes in, the second phone call comes in. But here you're gonna leverage, like the odds of us having those major incidents at the exact same time Quincy is less likely. So you're always gonna have that extra. And even if they're both, fire departments are busy, maybe the police aren't, so you're gonna have the dispatchers on the police end can do fire. All cross-trained. So you're basically getting 4 departments working, what are the odds all 4 up straight at the same time?
Yeah.
So you're gonna always have a bulk of dispatchers that, while you might be responsible for, say, Quincy, like tonight might be a Quincy police assignment. John might have, a Quincy fire assignment. Cody might have a Milton police assignment. But if he's on the phone and his phone ringing, and now no one's answering, you would pick up his phone, John would pick up his phone. You're all in the same room, you're all communicating, you're all in the same CAD system, you're all in the same room. So I think that's operationally, but I think Chris is still right on the financial one too.
Okay.
Mr. Driscoll?
Everybody seems to be going to this, a regional dispatch, right? It's Modena, you get all kinds of, like you said, it could be 3 different things going on. They got plenty of help to help out. You know what I mean? So I see it no-brainer if you 2 chiefs are very much in for this. I'll back you up, you know what I mean?
Thank you.
2 of the experts.
I'll get another question. If there's like a, say, everybody's all in, right, in the future, we get all in with Quincy. If there is like a dispute or like a resource challenge, like what's like the governance process to resolve any of that?
So there's a board, the board would be the
Okay.
police chief and fire chief of each department, which is 4, and then there'd be a director of the communications Education Center, so that's like a 5-person operating committee.
Okay. I'm done.
Mr. Wells.
So I'm gonna go down a little bit different road, and I've already talked to Chief and Nick about this. So, for full disclosure, as Chief King knows, I spent 10 years on the Governor's Interoperability Committee, as well as the statewide Interoperability Committee, under both the Deval Patrick and the Baker administration. So in that time, we stood up 2 regionals. It's not as, there are only actually, I think, 2 in, there's only one in Norfolk County, which is the one in Foxborough. It's actually a regional. Holbrook's not really a regional in that aspect. And Randolph and Braintree, as you know, Chief, were just about to do it, and it fell apart and it didn't go. So the 2 important things here that the members who are going to be here need to understand. 3. For as many years as I can remember, when someone dials either a 698 number, a 911 number, getting someone in the town of Milton that knows the town of Milton, from the town of Milton, answers that phone, regardless of whether it's a normal business call or a critical crash on Randolph Ave. If you remember, after 9/11, the city of Boston approached us, every town that touched, every city and town that touched, with the concept of doing a similar thing with police and fire. And one of the things that crushed it was, first was, a lot of people didn't want to give up, and I look no farther than the lady sitting in that corner who probably, this city runs probably one of the most modern, progressive, in-house 9/11 systems that exists in the state of Massachusetts, and has been way before we were even doing it. Second thing is, more for you on a financial matter is, and this has been the issue with some of the regionals, is you get the grant money. And when the grant window dries up, state 911 is great about, oh yeah, here you go, on year 1 or year 2, and then 3 years from now, because this is gonna be a much, you see the number you're applying for a grant. Absent the capital investment, the cost is going to be borne by the 2 communities. And that is going to fall to you as a higher cost than you pay today. And that's something, those are 2 critical things you have to think of, because if you, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, if you do this, there's no coming back from it. You're not gonna go backwards and take it back. So you really need, and I read the Collins report, and I've done an awful lot of these. And I think the Hingham, the Shrek and Hingham was Hingham, Cohasset, and they were the first, and it took, I think it started like a $1.9 million grant, and by the time we got them open, they were like 11 million. So those are things from a financial point of view that you need to really be cognizant of.
How
As
does
well
that-
as notify, as well as the residents of this town knowing that when they dial 911, it's not going to go into their community. Well, that's, people don't realize, but when you read after actions, you read feedback from communities, it's one of the biggest things they talk about.
What's the, do we have?
You're creating an own entity, you're creating, correct? I mean, maybe, I think it's a little different
No, there's
than the Hingham one.
There's 2 different ways of doing it.
But you're still going to be, they're not gonna be an employee of the town, they're gonna be an employee of the system, right? They're not going to be town employees anymore. And the final thing that I wanna say, and I talked about this last week when Mr. Hart was here, without getting into this. Since 1985, the whole emphasis on diversity has been that cadet program. And from that chief sitting right there through all the way to the bottom are products of that cadet program. And you and I talked about this today, Nick. You're going to have to think about how you're going, because it's gonna, tell me if I'm wrong, you're gonna have to dramatically shrink the cadet program and find roles for them outside of some of the dispatch roles they have. And that's a critical thing. Because one of the problems the Chief Madden has with not having a cadet program is, where's he gonna put them? He doesn't have administrative roles, am I correct? To put them in. He can't hire fire cadets, put them on a piece of apparatus. In the police department, by statute, under the statute, police cadets in the communities of Cambridge, Boston, and Milton are allowed to work in an administrative role from the age of 19 to 25 years of age. And that is one of the biggest things, and I said this last week to Mr. Hart, this town ever passed, and most successful. So I'm not gonna go on anymore about it, I don't want, but that's something that for you guys being here, you need to think about. Tell me if I'm wrong, this is a big step.
I'm not saying you're wrong, but I think things have evolved a little bit. The issues today is, most of my dispatchers today.
I know that.
Milton residents who are not familiar with the town. They're kids from Weymouth, from Walpole, they're driving 25 miles. You call out Kerrigan Hood, they don't know where it is. So that issue exists today. The cadet program, valuable program. I was a cadet, I believe strongly in it. But the cadet program now with alternative pathway hiring through civil service, that 1/3 of cadets counts as 50% of alternative pathway. So you still now have a mechanism to get diverse hire into alternative path highway that really is incorporated. Even if you use that cadet program, you're gonna only be able to do another 17% through that anyhow. So either way, that number really won't change, I feel. I know what you're saying about the cost, but even if you go long-term, it's not a 50-50 cost. It's based on population and cost of service. So, you know, we have 8,000.
Still more than you're
now.
paying now though, today. It's gonna cost you more than you're paying today.
I don't think either one of us could say what it's gonna cost in 5 years. I mean, there's a lot of variables that go into it. That proportion of cost is about 80% Quincy, 20%.
I'd just like to add that right now, the fire department doesn't
I know.
really have a dispatch center or system. We lost dispatchers back in the 70s and we haven't done much with it since. We work with PD, we work with the dispatchers now, and it's an ad hoc system. This will actually finally get the fire department to have a real system without a major cost to the town. I reached out to Holbrook, Norfolk County Control, when I became chief, and they quoted me about $250,000 to $300,000 to dispatch just for the fire department. They couldn't enter that grant at the time because it's the PSAP and everything falls in the PSAP, and that's what the state is interested in. So for us, for the Milton Fire Department, so 100%, this is a no-brainer. Something has to be done with our dispatch centers.
Mr. Milano, you want to add something?
I was just gonna say, like, to Mr. Wells' point, there is a significant support and incentive grant that the regional center would count on through the state 911 program. So to be clear about what the risk is as more regional centers form, that pie gets shared with more regional centers. So
Okay.
in year 8, or like for year 5, under our forecast, we expect about $2.4 million in grant money that will offset the cost of Milton and Quincy. We'll be paying drastically less for dispatch in that year than we do today. Now, as more regional centers form, does that pie get shared differently? Does the regional center get impacted? Does the regional center add another community that maybe more money comes in? So these are the kinds of things that move around, but the risk that the grant funding support that this center is going to get in the near term, in terms of an annual operating support grant, is if that starts to go down, then more costs shift back to Milton and Quincy. So like there's a big upfront grant money, and then there's annual recurring grant money.
Are you given, or do you have the opportunity, say if it's an 80-20 split, do you know at all times, like, does the information get shared with you what the total cost to operate the regional dispatch is and what Milton's share is without the grant funding?
Yes,
Just
that'd be
for
part of the annual budget,
planning
right.
purposes, so that, you know, it's never a surprise, or if we had to exit the arrangement, we could.
Yes, and likely it would be a matter of, we see that grant support declining slowly, rather than going away all at once. It would be more like, okay, Dedham and Canton formed a regional center, I don't know, just throwing out 2 names. So now we go from 2.4 million to 2.3 million, just using kind of in those examples. So like that, we would likely see it. We'd likely see it as gradual, and then also making sure that the regional centers' costs also don't go up faster than they should as well from a management perspective.
It doesn't necessarily have to go down, right?
It doesn't necessarily. It's just in that is kind of the risk where the budget on a budgetary conversation. The reason it saves Milton and Quincy money is because of that state support. If that state support were to go down or go away, costs come back to Boston and Milton and Quincy. Maybe we don't save as much. Maybe it costs us some money in the long term. That's kind of prognosticating deep into the future that we can really report on right here today.
Yeah, I just reminded, there's a lot of variables, like, you know, it wouldn't be all those costs like Milton. You gotta factor in, like, you're still paying significant costs today to communications and staff. And when they're not your employees, there's healthcare costs, there's pension costs, there's a lot of variables that you would have to factor in. So.
And we aren't liable for the other employees' healthcare or pension costs?
No, they're not town employees.
So you're gonna
Mr.
go
Wells,
on,
and-
oh yeah, so I have one
That's okay.
question, so I just this is for the board to try and give you an analogy of how, from the inception, how 911 was, so you know how we've tried to struggle with, we heard from, actors, how cable, the subscriptions to cable have been declining. So 911 was created and enacted in Massachusetts by creating a 25-cent fee on every 401 call that supports infrastructure. That's how 911 runs. Part of the reason 911 is pushing, because as it is now, Chief King is the proprietor of the PSAP in Milton, gets a 911 grant every year. It comes from that money. I ask you this, how many of you dial 411? So the fact that 411 calls are almost gone away, that money has dropped significantly. So for 911, it's smarter for them to try and push regionals versus let every single entity. I mean, we passed the 911 legislation in 1994. That's how long it's been in place, so.
Mr. Driscoll and then Mr. Daly.
Would there be any, like, stipulation that you'd hire Milton people?
Yeah, they're interesting because they'll need the dispatchers, they'll need them.
So that's
So,
not ruled out, Milton
no, every current dispatcher that wants to could certainly,
will move over.
well, I don't want to say that I can
Apply, no, they
guarantee
can
that.
Oh, apply, is it
Apply.
civil service?
It's not civil service, no, but we would expect them to apply, and they would want them to apply. We've had those conversations.
No, but if you enter into this, could you just say to the city of Quincy, could we have at least one person from Milton in that room at all times?
I think that's something that we could work out, that the board that
Oh, that's
Chief
what
King
I'm
was
at,
talking
yeah.
about, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we could definitely make sure that that
Richard said,
happens.
people don't know, from the city of Quincy, know roads. I don't even know roads in this town anymore.
I understand that,
It's
but
scary if you're saying that, John.
I'm saying today, we don't necessarily have all a single Milton.
No, I
person.
know.
That doesn't exist today.
Mr. Daly, did you have?
Yeah, a lot of my questions will be better after this grant is received or not, because it's more about operational execution and the local impact as well. I just wanted to point out on Member Hegarty's point about exiting. I'm assuming that this agreement is gonna be somewhat ironclad. Are we putting in, is this expected to be for a number of years?
So it's 5 years, but
5 years.
we can withdraw even after this grant with 60 days notice for any reason. If we were to go into it, you're talking a year and a half, 2 years away. Even if Milton Call ever rang in that Quincy building, you could still get out with a year's notice. With 60 days prior to them answering a single call. So basically for the next 2 years, it's a 60 days notice.
Mr. Wells?
So just one final point, and most people don't even know this exists. So as far as your existing infrastructure, both of you, your towers, Big Blue, who's going to continue to pay to maintain those, them or you?
So the grant will come in and then we get funded on our proposal, like upgrades to make sure they're basically good. But if in X number of years, we don't know for sure, if the sustainability grant, you could get that. If there's not, but the way it's written is Milton maintains and owns their structures, Quincy maintains and owns their structures.
So you're
So
gonna have
neither
to,
community is liable for the others, but yeah,
so you've got to keep your radio maintenance agreements in place,
yes.
right? Okay. Because that's, like, I don't see them, it'd be nice to get, if I were them, to get, like, Big Blue alone. Big Blue is one of the premium places to have infrastructure, and we've been there since, but that's, people think it's just like this phone, the phone only works because the infrastructure, the radio systems only work because of the infrastructure. From Milton's point of view, we have some of the most critical infrastructure points in Metro Boston.
Milton Fire uses Big Blue and uses Raschuti Drive. So we have those key sites already. And, when you look at that, we still maintain those sites, but this grant is gonna upgrade all of our radio equipment that's on those sites. So, and I know Quincy, one of the things that Quincy was talking about was piggybacking off of us onto those sites as well, just to increase their coverage. And, the other thing about it too is, I have a radio vendor. Milton Police has their own radio vendor.
Right.
This will actually get us under the same umbrella. A couple of years ago, we were actually they were piggybacking off of our frequency. And, our contractor really doesn't know much about their system doesn't know much about our system. This will finally get both of us under the same umbrella and work together to have a state-of-the-art communication center.
Well, it seems, Mr. Wells, you have
I'm
another
good,
question?
thank you, I've said enough.
But to me, it seems like we've got joint consensus from both chiefs that this is a good idea, that the grant application doesn't actually tie us into anything, and we can continue to have these discussions. And, you know, who knows what the technology will look like in another 30 years? This will probably be all outdated again, and people will be talking about it. But certainly for now, it seems like wise, at least look at an investment. So I will entertain a motion. If
I'll
anyone
make
wants
the
to.
motion, Mr. Chair, to apply for the grant.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
And to authorize execution of the IMA, the intermunicipal agreement.
So the
Two
formal
components.
motion of Mr. Wells will accept an agreement is, accept an amendment is to move to approve the application for a grant for a regional dispatch center with the city of Quincy and an intermunicipal agreement with the city of Quincy for regional dispatch.
What you said.
And the second agree with that?
Second, yeah.
Well, we're all here in person, so we can vote the normal manner. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that's unanimous. Thank you,
Sign.
chiefs.
You guys-
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Lynn has the IMA.
Item 7, we have our discussion update approval, East Milton Fire Station RFP and appraisal report. Mr. Milano.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We included all the materials again in the packet. I'll turn it back to the members for any questions, comments, requests around the RFP or from there.
Questions or comments from the members?
So what are you gonna do? Russ, tell us, what are you gonna, so, there's a lot of interest out there.
From my perspective, we've crafted it to allow for the building to remain as a requirement to prioritize kind of more of an active use than an inactive use. So unless there are requests to alter the RFP, we're prepared to release it with the board's approval.
If you wanna do it as our last thing, I'll make a motion tonight to release it.
Second?
Second, I didn't have any amendments to it. Just see what Mark.
Yeah, no,
Motion
look,
to release it.
it looked fine to me as well. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, that's unanimous.
It helps you going forward, you gotta, you'll have something.
Something fun to talk
Time will
about.
fly by, and that's the only reason, time will fly by and it'll be Christmas, and you'll be looking like, what?
So item number 8 is discussion update approval of Milton policy statement expression of values. And I'm, you know, as chair, just to point out, we didn't see the documents until this afternoon, which Mr. Milano, I know you've got a lot of other things on your plate. And given that Mr. Wells and myself will only be on the select board for another week or so, it feels to me like this might be an item that might be better addressed by the new select board in May. Unless folks did have a chance to go through all of the materials and have thoughts about what they would like to have.
I did not, so I would.
I think this is best handled not at a transition moment.
I agree. I would also suggest that it could be a good item for your discussion when you have your retreat.
Yep.
So.
I'll make a motion to put it on the agenda for their retreat.
Thank you.
So we'll just go ahead then to item number 9, housing production plan advisory committee composition charge term and appointments. Mr. Milano.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I provided a draft of this. What we had talked about was having representation from the Affordable Housing Trust, the Planning Board, and the Select Board, or rather having members appointed by each of those boards as part of an advisory committee to help manage the housing production plan and monitor its implementation. So our consultant, Karen Sonneborg, did inquire about whether it would be worthwhile to consider additional representation, whether it's from the Council on Aging, Milton Housing Authority, the Board of Appeals, or the Community Preservation Committee, as additional potential members. So what I've drafted is really just a membership of 6 members, 2 appointed by the Affordable Housing Trust, 2 appointed by the Select Board, 2 appointed by the Planning Board with 1-year terms. So really open to comments on how to tweak this, or if folks think we're in a place to start requesting applicants to it for consideration while we finalize the charge and composition.
Questions from the members or comments? I'm always a little nervous about appointing an even number of people to something. Do we turn into a?
Wanna wait and let the new board do it? I don't, I'm fine either way. I don't.
I might recommend that we try to figure out a way to do it so that we've got an odd number of appointments, whether that's somebody from conservation or somewhere else. Maybe we get, figure out who that is, and then I would circle back to the new board.
I'll help you. I'm gonna make a motion, just add an additional member. That future board, before future board determines where it can, I don't wanna try and take.
I think that
How's
makes
that?
sense.
So that gives you, so that way you don't have an even. Go ahead, no?
Maybe I'm just wrong here on the language. It says 2 members appointed by. Was it not 2 members from our original?
I
discussion?
left it as appointed by in case you do choose, for example, the select board could appoint a select board member and somebody else, or just 2 designees, or I left it so it was kind of to be determined by the board. If the expectation was that it was gonna be members from each of those boards or committees, we could change that.
Yeah, I think that was I will, maybe some first double check as well, but I thought this was to be members from each body. That was the
No,
idea
I think that would
On
be.
any board, they can do designees if they want. That's what happens a lot.
Yeah. I think, it'll be up to the select board in terms of who it wants to appoint. If somebody on the select board feels like they want to be on this committee, then I would assume that the other members of the select board would respond and then appoint a second member. So I'm okay with the language as is drafted, but if you would like to make a motion to change it, we could certainly entertain that.
Maybe a motion to change, but I think this needs to be clarified with the other bodies, because I'm
Okay.
pretty sure the planning board and the AHT was looking to appoint members from those bodies. Which,
From the AHT it would make sense.
Yeah, they wouldn't have a designee,
Yeah.
but like the point for, like, school committee, select the electeds,
I would
can
imagine
always
planning
opt
board
to
would
go
also
for a
know
designee
point.
if they want, like, similar to school building committee, do we have a member and we had a designee, right?
Correct.
We have a member and a designee, yeah.
Yeah, it would really, I can check in with them to verify
the
their
intention was we were
understanding.
gonna split costs and also split the seats.
Yeah, and I could have misinterpreted. What I just thought that meant was like the appointments of the seats would be divided by the 3 groups, not necessarily that would be explicitly members of each of those boards or committees. But we can tweak that and then bring that to a meeting in May.
You saying you like being out 5 nights a week? Oh, you wanna be out more nights a week? Is that what you're saying?
That's the job, that's the job.
So it sounds like, Mr. Milano, you're gonna do a little more work to this. Mr. Wells, do you want to withdraw your motion then?
Yeah, no, what's wrong, yeah, so that's fine. I was just trying to
I appreciate that.
address what you were talking about.
I want to make sure we didn't leave a motion on the floor.
Yeah, I'll withdraw that.
Okay, so let's move on then. Item 11, specialization fund policy. Mr. Milano.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, a draft policy in the packets. This has been something that's been in the works on the school committee side. So with, the planned appropriation into the Special Education Stabilization Fund at the May town meeting, the school committee and select board members through the Milton Budget Coordination Committee meetings had talked about having a policy, at least in progress, that would explain how that money would be utilized. So this is a draft that's been shared by the school committee that would explain how what costs would be eligible, how they would bring those costs to the school committee, to the select board for approval for withdrawal, and then set, minimum funding for it, and talk about processes and how to then add additional money to it once and if that's necessary. If there's any comments or questions from members, we can work with our partners in the school committee to address those. I just wanted to keep the kind of progress moving and report as to what the status is presently.
So are we looking for a motion tonight or not really?
We're not
Just
for a
checking
motion
in,
for this
taking
evening.
temperature. So to that extent, does anyone have a temperature that they would like to report or questions?
We've put in a lot of work so far
Yeah.
on it.
This has
Winston
a
and I
lot
have-
of comments from
We've
Megan and myself.
gone back and forth a lot. We've worked a lot with the school committee, finance committee.
Sounds like you have the green light to continue to move forward with this, Mr. Milton.
So this is just, the language has been discussed, tweaked. It's really governance around how we use the special education fund every year, how we fund it. I don't think we've really left any gaps in here. It still will be reviewed by the Budget Coordination Committee and the Warrant Committee as well, but.
So it's a high-level game of tug of war.
Most people pulling in the same direction, in a good way.
All right.
I think it clarifies a lot of things and gets us past some of the concerns about using the Special Education Stabilization Fund.
Okay, well, with no other comments, then I'll move us along to item number 12, fiscal year 27 budget. Mr. Milano, do we have any exciting updates? Did anyone win the lottery?
No news, right now, we're just getting ready for town meeting.
Item 13, speaking thereof, annual town meeting warrant, Wednesday, May 6, 2026. I think we've already approved. Is there anything to report on the warrant?
No, the warrant is with the printer. Hopefully it will be printed and mailed this week, so folks should start to see it arriving in the next week or so. It'll be up on our website before then, and elsewhere. Everything's in progress on the town meeting warrant as well.
Okay. Item number 14 is recognition of service of outgoing select board members and new select board member transition. Well, is somebody gonna sing a song for us, or?
Just waiting for someone to come over, the cakes and
Do I get to keep this nameplate?
You sure do.
That's nice. Shiny.
recognition.
Should
Well-
we say nice things?
You're welcome to say
Bailey
nice
member
things.
Driscoll.
That's all right.
I'd rather we
Been a
did the
pleasure working with
Festivus,
both of you.
airing of grievances.
I'll get the, what's the poll?
Go ahead, John.
It's
Sorry.
been a
Mr.
pleasure
Driscoll.
working with both of you. You know, thank you for giving your time.
You're very
People
welcome.
don't realize there's a lot of time behind this. And I appreciate everything you have done.
Member Wells, do you have?
So I'm not a fanfare guy. Is anyone, I think, there's no one here that would remember, but when I retired as chief in 2017, I
I remember that.
went to lunch on Tuesday. I told my secretary I was going to lunch. And then I called her on the phone and said, I was scheduled to retire on Friday, said, car's in the driveway. I'm gone. Good luck. Just, but this is a little bit different than that. Today is the culmination of 41 years of service to the town, 32 in the police department and 9 in the select board. And I just think about how much things have changed since I first got here. A place I never wanted to be, there was just 3 of us. And I look at it now and I reflected thinking about the building commission's report, like all those things happened in the past 9 years. And that was a lot of work to make those, just hearings and complaints and anxieties and apprehension. But for the fellow board members that I've served with over the past 9 years, those are things that we had to take on, and I'm very appreciative to all of them, each and every one from when I first got here with Katie Conlon and David Burns, right up to the 5 of you now. 02186 is the commonality amongst all of us. This is where we live. This is where we call home, and I just have to say a few things that I'm especially grateful to all the employees, because they're the nuts and bolts that make this town work. And for me, the fact that they've the residents put their trust in me to be in these positions, it means everything in the world to me. I mean, you give up a lot of things. In my life, I've seen a lot of bad things, and I've been through some really good things here and some really bad things, but very proud of that. And when my dad walked across Dorchester Bridge from his house by Walter Baker Chocolate in 1949, after just getting with 4 of his brothers coming back from World War II. 6 months later, he went to work for the Milton Police Department. And next year will be the first time since 1949 that Richard Wells has not been employed by the town. And I was shocked when I said this to Nick the other day. I was like, because I used to laugh at my father. He did almost 44 years, and I used to laugh at him when I was a rookie cop and say, Dad, I'll be gone I'll be gone so long before I even get near to that. And here I am now. I'm very grateful to him, and I'm especially grateful to all the town administrators, and particularly John Cronin, who listened to me more times than I can count, trying to get here. And as my own father said to me years ago, he goes, the town administrator is the most important person you have to work with. And that was right for me as a union person, as a deputy chief, as a chief, and as a select board member, right up to Mr. Milano, and that's a key thing. And to everyone who's my wife, I can't even talk about just being there. I'm just Mr. Pauline Wells, like, I don't know why she's here, but God bless her. To everyone who supported me, Linda Lee, Kathy Fagan. But the last ones I want to thank is something that came in my career 20 years ago that I never, ever expected. And John Driscoll will know this, was when I was asked to join the Copeland Foundation. And people don't know what it means for a group of 6 that meet twice a year and looks at every single issue affecting this town without telling anybody. Anyone. Saturday night, we gave Milton Hospital $1 million. That's the second $1 million this year. No one knew that was coming, not even them. 20-something million dollars in checks made payable to the town of Milton in those 20 years. And that, to me, they'll kill me for this, but I'm so proud of what they do in such a private way. In the 20-something years I've been on that foundation, only 5 applicants have ever been through the door of thousands of grants that we have given. 5. And so to that, I say that because a lot of people will hear the name, they know it, they'll see it, but they don't understand what an important entity is in this town, and I'm so humbled to be one of them. So that's it. And now on to my job that I love. In the state rep. So thank you. I know that was a little lengthy, and thank you for that.
No problem, Mr. Wells. I made remarks earlier about leaving, and you know, I want to echo what Mr. Wells said. Just very, very grateful to Nick and Lynn, Cody. We didn't have too much time to work together, but you know, the town staff is just top to bottom excellent, and we're very, very lucky in this town to have the people that we do and the jobs that they're in. I feel like the 3 years that I've been on the select board, it feels like 41. We've seen a lot of changes, a lot of transitions, some good moments, some bad moments. I feel like the community is on this really great trajectory at the moment of coming together, trying to tackle problems as a whole. And I hope that we continue to do that, because I think more than anything in this world where, and I've said this is the reason I'm leaving, is because the current federal administration has made my job much more difficult over the last year and a half. And I have to be out of town now a lot more than I used to be. And so in this era of uncertainty, as Mr. Wells said, we are all in 02186. And we need to make sure that we remember that, treat each other accordingly as neighbors, as the people who ultimately, when push comes to shove, are going to be next door to you. So I'm so confident in Member Wells. Member Daley.
I'm not staying.
I'm confident in Member Wells in his continued work. I'm very confident in Mr. Daley and Ms. Hegarty and Mr. Driscoll in their continued stewardship of this. I'm sure they will provide a warm and good welcome for whoever comes and is lucky enough to sit in these seats. It is a big job. It's a job that I might pick up again in the future if the world changes again, which it probably will. But for now, I just consider myself very lucky to have been able to represent the town for the time that I did. So thank you very much.
Good luck to you guys, because change will happen, and it's gonna be, in 2 weeks, it's gonna be totally different. And just like when you came here, you're gonna have new faces walking the door. And the most important thing is to get the residents' trust, to have them trust you and realize that they matter to you. And when they will email you and call you and come and knock on your door, that says a lot. And that, to me, those are the things that I carry so deep in my heart today.
We also have a new member transition on here, and I don't know if
We're not
there's
going, we're not gonna be there.
anything to say about that beyond, I know that we've got the organizing meetings on the agenda.
Do we get to say stuff?
Oh, yeah, sure.
We get to-
Yeah, sure.
I'll just say quickly, you are both stepping down, but I don't consider it that you guys are leaving. In the year that I've been here and the time that I ran for this seat, I know that nothing really happens without the folks who've done it before. The people that I spoke to, the people that have had counsel for me over the years, the folks that have been here for 40, 50, and 60 years, I pick up the phone when I call, the conversations I've had with Richard, the conversations I've had with you, Ben. Even though you guys are not gonna be sitting in these seats anymore, your impact is not lessened, right? You are not forgotten, you are not gone, you are still incredibly important to us, and fully expect that you will be receiving calls from probably all three of us at some point.
Wells at masshouse.com.
And I think that is what makes this town work. It's the mix of people that have been here, the history, the legacy, and the folks that come in and want to continue it and add to it. So thank you both.
I will always answer if you call unless I cannot.
Plus one phone.
But I will call you back. But Margaret, I don't know.
Okay, I get to go last. So I. So, thank you both. The both of you were two of the very first people I spoke with when I.
Sweet life,
Yeah.
sweet life.
Yeah, it was like a 2-hour breakfast or something. And you were both very real with me and very encouraging. And I, being one of the new members on the board, I have relied on both of you, for guidance and moral support. I don't know, both of you realize like how flustered I can get, but.
You are funny when you say I'm so mad.
But it's just, I feel like over the course of a year, we all 5 of us kind of got in a really good groove with things. So it's bittersweet to have you guys depart. But what's really special for me as a lifelong public servant, I know you share the same background, and Ben, you work in the public interest doing fundraising as well. It is such a nice thing to be part of a community of people who get to serve something greater than themselves. And we are really lucky to live in a town where so many people care, and there's never a shortage of opportunities to get involved and to serve. And both of you guys have just really represented so much of that. And I hope other folks, if you're out there watching this meeting tonight, I know plenty of people do. I hope that other people will see your example and act on that call to serve that you guys have done. Because it really is, it's such a special thing. And we're so lucky, and I feel like, this is maybe kind of like the mafia where you can never really leave, and we will still call you.
Just when I thought I was out.
But just really thank you so much for the past year and for your years and years and years of service.
Thank you very much. Well, now we get to talk about Mr. Milano. We have, John did, John.
He was
John-
the lead off.
the beginning
He
of
was the
it.
lead off hitter.
Lynn was everybody.
Like I said,
Sweet.
both great people to work with, and I've known Richard for a very, very long time. He's done a lot in this town, he's gone through a lot. And, I'm sure he's not gonna disappear.
Definitely not.
And if I can add, I just
Mr.
like
Milano,
to say
please.
that,
Yeah.
Who are you?
it's it's crazy to think 3.5 years ago when I started, and Richard was the last of that 5 that appointed me, and there will be nobody who appointed me anymore. So I appreciate the full 3.5 years that we had working together. And in the first preliminary interview, I think we had a conversation about capital, and I didn't know at the time or appreciate your commitment to that committee. So we will be one of the homework that we'll have is to figure out who's gonna take over that committee and lead
Big
that
job.
committee, hopefully for the next 9 years. So just wanna thank you, more generally, but specifically for that service. And then just to both of you, we can, town staff and our office and everybody, we can always do better, but I think it's really helpful when board members are so supportive of the employees. We don't get everything right, but we try. And so I just, your vocal support for the staff, I just appreciate. I just wanted to share kind of those 2 points. But thank you for the service and best of luck, and we will be calling. So don't go too far.
Vice versa.
Thank you, Mr. Milano. But I am going to now turn the tables around because we have as our next agenda item, the town administrator's performance evaluation. I had a chance to meet with Carla on Friday, I think it was. She had received, and thank you to everyone for in a very timely fashion. I think this is the first time since in my 3 years that I've been on the board that we got the town administrator's evaluations all done by all the members. So kudos.
By July.
That was circulated to the members, I believe, who had a chance to read it. Overall, not surprisingly, I don't think to anyone, Nick is a very valued member of this town. The evaluation was very strong in favor of him and his work, with lots of really nice things to say. I don't want to, read through the whole thing in detail, but really, your attention to detail and your responsiveness to the town, both to members of this board, other boards, there are so many people who clamor for your attention, and you manage to give it to them when they need it, and it's noted by everyone. So I will turn it over to the members if you had any other comments on the evaluation or wish to say anything. Sorry, I don't usually go first. Mr. Driscoll.
I only have a short time on the select board, but I had a lot of time before the select board, and you were always very responsive. You're always very willing to help and open door policy. So, you were a great person. You're still a great person, and
Thanks,
you're always easy to work with.
Appreciate that.
Can't deny his raise now.
You've had to deal with a lot of really big issues in your 3.5 years, and I think you've done it excellently for my time on the board, so choking up for everybody tonight, geez.
Well, hopefully we have
It's just an
quieter 3
evaluation.
more
It's
years.
like,
Quieter next.
It's Nick's last night too. But I think you've done an excellent job, and I hope you're here in the town for a long time to come. I really appreciate the work you've done. The last few years of override MBTA budgets have not been easy, and I think you've been a steady hand at the wheel, so thank you.
Thank you.
I pretty much agree with Member Daley and Member Driscoll and everyone else, but thank you for our first year too. Because there were definitely things I didn't know that you've always been available and also listened to me a lot. And yeah, I think we have a lot of work coming up in the years ahead. It's I think some of our budget challenges are potentially going to stay challenging. And you've done a great job at working with us to bring everybody to the table and, run everybody through the details. And I think that that's so important. And I want to recognize that you and Amy and Joanna have really, taken the time, made yourselves vulnerable, and walked everybody through that process. And I think that that's just so important for our town governance and for getting people to trust government, which it's really important in our town these days. It's really important in society at large. And, on the topic of public service, that takes a lot of bravery. And I'm really glad that we're gonna get to continue to partner with you on that.
It's like a group hug.
Yeah.
Mr.
All the
Wells.
feels tonight.
So at one point, and this isn't a criticism, but one point, we've said this, I've said this a lot, or I think I kind of capped it in my comments is, and I probably learned this from my own father, just about public services, that you gotta go out and be the face, and I said this to you, fly your flag, go out, walk around the business, meet, let them see you and see your face. Because one of the key things that is, it's easy when it's easy when it's the easy things. It's tougher when it's the hard things. And when you've already developed that positive relationship, and all of a sudden you hit that big bump on the road, like you've seen just the issues on just the projects we've done, it's go do it. And then lastly, Lynn, just to thank her for everything she does for us.
100%. I will take a motion on the
I'll make that
evaluation of the
motion.
town
I'll
administrators.
make that motion.
Second.
So motion's been made to approve the town administrator's performance evaluation and seconded. Any further
10%,
discussion?
10% raise? No. I'm gonna get to it.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous. Next up, we have discussion approval proclamation celebrating Earth Day and Arbor Day. As someone who feels very strongly about the environment, I think we can waive the reading of both of these proclamations if the members see fit. And just make a motion.
Second, that's your motion,
I
I
will-
second it.
Move to approve the proclamations celebrating Earth Day and Arbor Day.
Second.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion? The Earth is very important, as Artemis reminded us. It's a fragile blue dot. These are important celebrations to recognize. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. We have an amended, thanks, Mr. Milano for getting this back on the agenda, discussion approval one-day liquor license. I will take a motion on this.
Make a motion to approve the one day, oh no, I can't make this. I'll make the motion, but then I'll abstain on the vote. So I'll make the motion to approve the one-day liquor license. Linda Lee Sheridan from Milton Music Fest, we are Milton, Saturday, June 20th and Sunday, June 21st, from 4 PM to 10 PM at Hutchinson Field.
Hold on.
Nope. Did I,
We specifically changed the time for Sunday. I think we approved the Saturday time.
let's
We
change.
pulled it off.
Did we, I thought we approved Saturday,
We didn't approve anything.
We didn't approve anything. Then
but
this,
is Saturday also 4 to 10
yeah,
AM?
yeah.
Yeah, they're both,
both
yeah.
just
Okay.
reads to me as they're both.
She said
4 to
5,
10.
but I think.
No, it's 4. 4 is the time.
Okay, great. I just wanted to make sure we got it right.
Oh, good, yeah, thank you.
So motion's been made.
Second.
Seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Abstentions?
Abstain.
Town administrators report, Mr. Milano.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. White, Michael already explained that we have a part-time local inspector position that we'll be posting. We will also be working, we are looking for a clerk for the Community Preservation Committee, which would be much more limited hours. If somebody's looking for just minimal hours for staffing their meetings, helping manage their meeting agendas, meeting minutes, CPC applications and that process. So a very low part-time type job in terms of total number of hours, but it might be something nice to add if somebody's looking for something small. And we're preparing to post a position for the planning board admin assistant that will also go out there. That'll be another part-time position for somebody, if somebody's looking for something part-time. And speaking of Community Preservation Committee, I think I said this at the last meeting, but the eligibility application period is now open. We've been starting to talk to town departments about applications from town departments, but members of the public have started. I think there are 4 applications in already. So if you're interested in seeking funding through Community Preservation Committee, those eligibility applications are due May 29th. So you still have decent 5 to 6 weeks, but please submit and information's available on our website. And we do have another retirement to report. Delroy Butler is retiring from Milton DPW after several decades of service to the town.
From the day he started.
And always shows up to every event, shows up for every opportunity to work additional hours. So grateful for the many years of service and congratulate him and wish him best wishes on his retirement. And that, I had it in front of me. I will report it before the end of the meeting.
Close to 25. Oh, well, maybe more, maybe, it's a lot. I don't know the day you started.
And then I should have mentioned this during the budget discussion, but the warrant committee chair did report that the warrant committee talked about the long-term projection and having a policy regarding the operating budget stabilization fund. and having a discussion with the new select board about long-term override date. So I meant to mention that earlier, but I'll work it into town administrator updates. That's what I have, Mr.
That's what
Chair.
I can do. And we'll seed back to you as soon as you figure out how long Delroy's been
I
here.
have to find my note.
For the chair's report, I don't have much other than Saturday, the 18th, at the Blue Hill, there's going to be a special event for Earth Day. You get to climb to the top of the Blue Hill. They're counting, they're expecting hundreds of people to do this. You'll touch an LED light and give a testimony about Earth Day. If you want more information about it, go to bluehill.org. It sounds like an excellent event. Ms. Milano, do we have an update?
37 and a half years.
All right. Any reports from the members? Anything? Public comment response, I think we kind of already have done that. Our future meeting schedule, organizational meetings will be held April 29th and 30th. Mr. Milano?
The 3 members who will be here,
Yes.
do either of you, do you have availability either of those nights? Do you have a preference? So this would be just to elect chair, vice chair, and secretary. So the
30th is what works for me. I can't do the 29th.
I think the 30th is what would work for me as well. We can do Zoom if
necessary.
necessary. Yeah, I think either of those are fine for me.
Okay, so we'll plan on the
That's the
30th,
Thursday, yeah.
Thursday evening. Thank you.
Okay, so that's then organizational meeting set for April 30th. Town meeting dates, as a reminder, May 6th, May 7th, May 11th, May 12th, May 13th. And the select board retreat is TBD, June 6th, 13th, or 27th. Future agenda items. I would feel bad suggesting something there. So with hearing none, and I'm going to use my chair's privilege to skip executive session this evening, but we are still going to drop into Governor Stoughton Trust very quickly, so I'll take a motion to adjourn from select board.
So I'll make that motion.
Made
Second.
and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So the select board meeting is out of session now, and I am calling to order a meeting of the trustees of the Governor Stoughton Trust. We have a couple of items on our agenda. First is request for funding from the Governor Stoughton Trust to Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center Milton campus. Mr. Milano.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Milton Hospital submitted their annual request for funding. I did not coordinate with Mr. Fernandez to join our meeting this evening. He usually will make himself available happily if the members would like to hear from him directly, but we did include his letter in the packet with his request for this year. Happy to take any questions
My
on it.
final motion on this board, I'll make a motion to approve. Is it 20 or 15? How much is it?
I had it as 20 this year. I can verify that if you give me one
I
moment.
think I already knew. I think I read it was. So unless I'm wrong, but I'll make a motion to approve. It's
25,000.
25.
I'll make a motion to approve their $25,000 request from the Governor Stoughton.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made to approve $25,000 to Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center Milton campus from the Governor Stoughton Trust and seconded. Any further discussion?
I have a quick question. In my reading of the letter, I may have missed it, but I'm just wondering, what is the annual contribution that we typically make?
Right around there.
It's right around there.
In that amount?
Had
Okay.
been, I think it was 20,000 last year, 15 the year before that, so they have adjusted it a little bit each year, but it's in that ballpark.
Okay.
All right, motion's made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Item number 3, discussion approval town farm request for proposals, proposal from Milton Partnership for Community Reinvestment LLC. So we talked about this in our previous open session as the trust, where I think there was some hesitation around the current proposal based on the infrastructure needs that the road was facing. And I think this has been, feel like it would be good to kind of put a point on this to some extent, and then allow the trustees of the Governor Stoughton Trust's future iteration to continue to think about how best to use that land. So I don't know if anyone has any thoughts that they'd like to share or a motion that they'd like to make.
So my personal position has been that if we can't get to a workable model on this proposal that can also include the infrastructure upgrade, if we are also in a position to eventually get to safe harbor with the existing developments that we have in the pipeline, I'm okay with moving to either rebid the proposal or wait for a more opportune time to rethink the site.
Other thoughts?
You wanna suspend it, like where it's at now.
I think so, yeah.
Nick, did we ever get any additional updates past our last conversation with the developer?
No, the proposal was that they would, as part of the project, after they get their relevant regulatory approvals from this board, funding, and then a Board of Appeals approval, that they would have an engineering firm design infrastructure improvements to Governor Stoughton Lane, but that was the limit of what they could commit to. Their view was, if we got it, if the project had designed it to that level, then it's, grant ready. So if there was a grant, MassWorks, Housing Works type program out there, that might be an opportunity for funding, but they would not have the capability to fund improvements directly as part of the project.
Yeah, I think I'd be in the same mindset of suspending or going under further review. I think with the changes along Canton Ave, with that 40B development, with those going to affordable and the rentals, which really changes the Governor Stoughton setup, and us not being able to fund some of these improvements, maybe there's a space for us to rethink. We work with Town Farm.
Any further thoughts, Mr. Wells?
I hear, and I don't understand, but I do think for the three of you, I think you're gonna see something else come to you this year that's gonna help in that safe harbor ring. Can't divulge yet.
Teaser.
I'm like,
So
wow.
I'm leaving you with
Are you
something.
an oracle?
I'm leaving you with something, but I think,
It's like a psychic seeing the future.
I think you're gonna see
Something good is
something.
gonna
I think you're gonna
happen.
see something.
East Milton medium.
Okay.
No, it's not East Milton. It's not East Milton. Please, you kidding me? I have to move away from East Milton. But I think you might
Yeah.
see something this year
Okay.
that we will entertain, not entertain, but will help you. You're so close. There's one thing, like tonight, I'm like, in these 9 years, I think we're at 4.5 when I came to select board.
Yeah.
We're
it's
like,
been
what,
a dramatic
9.7
growth.
now, or 9 point, like, you're right on the cusp.
So to that end, Mr. Milano, should we make a formal vote to suspend the RFP? Does that make the most sense?
I think that it's really to
Withdraw?
withdraw the RFP and yeah, I think withdraw.
So I'll take a motion if someone wants to make that.
I'll make a motion to withdraw the RFP for Town Farm request for proposal.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? I will say, just for further discussion, I continue to believe that affordable housing is the right solution for that piece of land. And I think that given the developments that have been taking place, we can continue. I have faith and confidence in the Governor Stoughton Trust to continue to look thoughtfully at that piece of land and make developments as needed. It's an important part of the Milton history. There's some important historical buildings on that site, and it will continue to need attention. So motion's made and seconded. I made my comment. I don't think anybody else had one. All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Abstention, one. Okay, then we have a, I'm gonna skip executive session. Do we have to go to executive session?
No, we're in okay shape. We
All
can
right.
approve those.
Well-
I would just ask if you could just review the minutes.
Oh, yes,
In case
sorry.
you had any
Thank you.
edits, the executive session minutes, in case you
I
had
will
any.
I will review the executive session minutes, and if I have edits, I will make
Let us
them to
know.
Mr. Milano, and you guys will be so informed. And we can approve, meeting minutes for February 24th, 2026. All members were in attendance, is that right? Okay. Does anybody want to make that motion?
Move to approve meeting minutes dated February 24th, 2026.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain. I don't think it was there, so I'm
I
definitely
didn't think
abstaining.
you were there either, but I didn't want to contradict.
No, I know.
Okay, I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
It's been a pleasure doing business with you. Thank you, Milton.
Thank you, everyone.